The idea with wholesaling is to get a good deal and then assign that deal to another investor for a profit. When it comes to investors, there's a big difference between a fix and flip investor and a buy and hold or landlord investor. Now, I've done a lot of videos talking about wholesaling to fix and flippers, so on this video, get ready to learn my 5-step process to wholesale houses to landlords, not fix and flippers, coming up.
Go to 8weekacademy.com to claim your free copy of Jerry Norton's most popular training. In it, he reveals his blueprint for making $100,000 per year with real estate.
Hey, if you're new here to this channel, I'm Jerry Norton with FlippingMastery.com, and this channel is all about ways to help you make money wholesaling and flipping real estate so you can live your dream life. Be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications so you don't miss new videos. As a wholesaler, your job is to secure and find deals for other real estate investors that we call cash buyers. But cash buyers is not very specific. As a wholesaler, not only do you want to know and understand your cash buyers' wants and needs and investing criteria, you also want to know the highest and best use for each of your deals so that you know who would be the ideal cash buyer for each deal you get. There are two basic types of investors that you can wholesale deals to. First is a fix and flipper. A fix and flipper's objective is to buy a distressed property and add value by making some level of improvements to the property and then quickly flipping or reselling the property to a homeowner. Now, it's important to remember that a fix and flip is a short-term investing strategy since the goal is not to hold the property long-term. Now, fix and flippers primarily focus on two key things when evaluating a property. Number one, what price can they resell the property for once it's fixed up? We call this the after repair value or ARV. And two, how much is it going to cost to fix it up in order to add enough value that it will sell for the desired market value or ARV? Now, those two things, along with other factors such as closing costs and financing or carrying costs and desired profit, make up the fix and flip buy criteria or buy formula and determine what a fix and flipper is willing to pay to acquire a good fix and flip deal. Now, if you're wholesaling a property to a fix and flipper, you need to be intimately aware of how fix and flippers analyze deals so that you know how to bring good deals to them that fit their buy criteria and formula. Now, the better you understand your cash buyer flipper, the easier it is to wholesale to him. Now, I'm not going to go into detail about how to determine the fix and flip buy formula on this video, but if you'd like to learn more about the formula for wholesaling to fix and flippers, be sure to check out a video where I break it down in detail. I'll put the link to that video in the description below for you. The other type of cash buyer that you can wholesale to is a buy and hold investor or landlord. And the rest of this video is going to focus on wholesaling to landlords. Now, a buy and hold investor's intent is to hold the property long term and rent it out for cash flow. Instead of focusing on making repairs to flip the property for top dollar like a fix and flipper, a buy and hold investor focuses on cash flow and not the immediate resale value, since their goal is to hold the property for long term. That means the way a buy and hold investor analyzes a deal is much different than the way a fix and flipper does. And if you intend to wholesale to landlords, you need to understand their buy criteria, which I'll explain, so keep watching. Once you get a deal and it's time to find a cash buyer, the first thing you need to do is determine if your ideal cash buyer is a fix and flipper or a buy and holder. While the property could technically be either one, there is a general rule to follow. The lower the neighborhood values, the more likely the ideal cash buyer is a buy and hold investor, and the higher the neighborhood values, the more likely the ideal investor is a fix and flipper. For example, in low-income neighborhoods where home values are, let's say, $50,000, the ideal cash buyer would be a landlord because more people rent in low-income areas than buy. Whereas in neighborhoods where home values are, let's say, $500,000, the ideal investors are going to be fix and flippers because at that price, more people buy than rent. Now, as a wholesaler, I follow a really simple rule. If the neighborhood home values are under $100,000, I'm going to target a buy and hold cash buyer because in my estimation, about 80% of cash buyers are buy and hold investors where values are under $100,000. From $100,000 to $200,000, it goes the other way, and I'd say 80% of investors are flippers and maybe 20% are buy and hold investors. And the higher in price you go, you have less and less buy and hold investors. So let's say you're wholesaling in a lower income area where home values are under 100,000. What do you need to do to successfully wholesale to landlords? So assuming you have a lead in a rental area, let me share with you 3 tips when analyzing buy and hold deals, and then my 5-step process to wholesale houses to buy and hold investors. Okay, tip number 1 when analyzing buy and hold deals is to learn the neighborhood rental market. Shift your focus from after repair value to rental income because again, a buy and hold investor is more concerned with cash flow than after repair value. Learn what the potential rents are in that neighborhood. Can your deal rent for $750 a month or $850 a month? Think about it this way. A landlord will pay more for a deal if it's 300 square foot bigger, has 4 bedrooms instead of 3 bedrooms, and can rent for $1,000 a month instead of $700 a month. Know your rental market. Tip number 2 when analyzing buy and hold deals is to lower the estimated cost of repairs. A buy and hold investor is not going to spend the same money making improvements as a flipper. They probably aren't going to put in a new kitchen with granite and replace all the doors. They're going to do just what's necessary to rent the property and nothing more. And the lower in value, the less work they do. When I first got started wholesaling 16 years ago in Detroit, I was wholesaling $5,000 and $10,000 houses, and my cash buyer, buy and hold investors hardly did any improvements to the properties. I'm not here to say if that was right or wrong. It's not my place to judge, only that financially it wasn't worth the investment to them. Generally speaking, buy and hold investors are going to spend about half as much as fix and flippers, maybe less, and in some cases they won't spend much at all on improvements. For example, let's take a really dated house where everything is original and it's old from 1990 when the house was built. A flipper might spend $40,000 to replace and update everything, whereas a landlord might not replace anything as long as it's functional and then turn around and rent it out just how it is. So when wholesaling the landlords, I hope this gives you an idea of how to adjust the cost of repairs. Tip number 3 when analyzing buy and hold deals is to throw the house flipping formula out the window. Don't use the industry standard ARV times 70%, less repairs, less wholesale fee equals your offer price. That doesn't apply anymore. I've got a much simpler analysis. I've got a brain dead easy technique that allowed me to go from dead broke to millionaire in 3 years. So if you can fog a mirror, you can learn how to do this. Let me show you my simple 5-step process to wholesale deals to landlords. Step number 1 is when you get a lead is to go on Zillow or Redfin and do a search of all of the sold homes in the past year or so in the same neighborhood or area as your lead. Step number 2 is to sort the price from lowest to highest and start looking at the lowest price sold homes. These are the distressed properties that sold to cash buyers. Now I'll show you an example in a minute, so keep watching. Step number 3 is to establish a trend. Look for a range of the lowest price sold homes and look for a pattern for what cash buyers are paying. For example, take a look at this Zillow screenshot. Just looking at the lowest sold homes in this neighborhood during the past year, you can see 8 sold homes that range from $21,000 to $28,000. Now you could take the time and look at each of these to get an idea of the condition, but wouldn't you agree that if you were wholesaling in this neighborhood, it's safe to say that cash buyers are paying, on average, about $25,000 for deals? Yes, in fact, if you got a deal in this neighborhood, right here are 8 cash buyers. More than likely, one of them will be interested in your deal. Now, like I always say, investors love doing repeat deals in the same neighborhoods. Step number 4 is to subtract your wholesale fee from the average sold homes to get your wholesale buy price. So going back to the example I just showed, if the average cash buyer price is $25,000 and I wanted to make a $10,000 wholesale fee, I would need to get a similar deal in that neighborhood for $15,000. Why $15,000? Because I know cash buyers are paying about $25,000, so if I got a deal for $15,000, I could wholesale it for $10,000 more. Step 5 is once you identify an area and you establish the average cash buyer buy price, blitz the area with offers. Hit it with everything you've got, both on market and off market. Make as many offers as you possibly can for $15,000 until you get an accepted offer. Then wholesale it for $25,000. Guys, this is literally all I did to wholesale 5 deals a month in Detroit. This put me on the path to becoming a millionaire, and while it wasn't easy, it certainly was simple. Now, if you think that's genius, leave a comment and say, Jerry, you are a flipping genius. And just so I'm clear and you're not confused, I do not fix and flip in neighborhoods valued under $100,000. I don't think that's a good idea. Get in the nicer areas where you have more homeowners than renters. But wholesale, you bet. If you have a low income area in your market, that is the ultimate playground for wholesaling. I've learned two things about buy and hold investors, especially low income buy and hold investors. One, they always want more deals. It doesn't matter if they have 300 rentals, they want 301. It's like crack to them and they can't get enough. And two, they hate acquisitions. They hate finding leads and they hate making offers. They just want to do their landlord thing, so they will gobble up your deals if you source and find them and bring them to them. And here's the good news. You don't actually have to go and see these properties in person. I wholesale most of my deals remotely without ever seeing the properties in person. This is called virtual wholesaling, and if you want to learn how to do it, I have an entire kit with everything you need to do your first wholesale deal, and I'll give it to you for free. To download it right now, just go to virtualflipperkit.com. And speaking of landlords, one of my favorite types of leads is to go after tired landlords. These are buy and hold investors who are burned out from renting and are motivated to sell at a discount. And I get some of my best deals from tired landlords, and I'll show you live a free technique how I find them. It's a really cool video, so watch that now. And if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to my channel with over 525 videos, all organized by topic in the playlist section. This is the #1 channel on YouTube for all things wholesaling and flipping. Do that now, and I'll see you on the next video.